On Friday, the farm bill failed because essentially what you had was there are 193 Democrats in the House with 25 Republicans. You could pass what is known, and I don't want to get too arcane here, a discharge petition. 25 plus that 193. And a discharge petition essentially allows you to bring a motion to the floor without having it to have to go through the Speaker of the House. And of course, Paul Ryan is not interested in bringing up an immigration bill. And you need, like I say, 218 lawmakers to sign on, 25 Republicans. There's 193 Democrats in the House. They would have brought up a bunch of bills that one of which would have essentially reinstated DACA recipients, but done so under statute as opposed to executive order, right? DACA is basically just is prosecutorial discretion codified. And so that people who are definitely not high priorities for our government to pursue have the ability to lead lives that are productive for everyone. And this would have a DACA bill law would basically just make it statutory instead of an agency decision. Right now, DACA is basically hanging on because the courts have said there's been no logical explanation as to why you are ending this. And in fact, the reasons that the Trump administration has stated suggest that maybe it is more based on lesser values. Let's put it that way. So there were 25 or 20 moderates, so-called moderates, in the Republican Party. That is, and if that number sounds familiar to you, it is very close to the number of Republicans who are in districts that Hillary Clinton won in 2016. And they are looking at an existential crisis in terms of their congressional careers. They were hoping to mount this campaign to get a discharge petition. The Freedom Caucus quashed all of it by tanking the farm bill. And so Paul Ryan is dealing with a mutiny on two sides of his caucus, and they are effectively in disarray. It's unclear whether or not, and the moderate and the conservatives, I should say, are trying to raise a much harsher immigration bill, one that would end DACA. So let's take this moment to remind you that ICE is, in fact, basically a terrorist organization. The idea that they are in any way, and Donald Trump the other day, supposedly was referring to MS-13, right? When he said that they're animals. Aside from the fact that to the extent that MS-13 is any more of a danger, I mean, I'm sure there are some localities where it's a real problem.
Like Guatemala and Honduras, where people are fleeing.
Right. But there's also some areas in this country where it's a problem, but I think it's fairly localized. But with that said, the vast majority of the people who are associated with MS-13 are not undocumented immigrants. And the vast majority of people that are getting the attention of ICE enforcement are also not MS-13. Case in point, let's play the raw footage, okay? This is footage that a woman, Anna Suda, took when she was at a convenience store with her friend, Mimi Hernandez. They were in a convenience store in Havre, Montana. Is that how I pronounce it?
Havre.
Havre, Montana. It's apparently near the border with Canada, so you got to be very careful about all those Canadians who come down, right? Trying to sneak into the country. Yeah, exactly. They're sneaking in because they want to pay for
so I
healthcare.
can wait online and pay a lot of money for major medical intervention.
What are the chances I could pay for 80% higher rates on my pharmaceuticals?
There's a problem here that you get free pharmaceuticals here. You could pay for the same thing in the United States.
Just trying to help
get over
innovation.
there. Yeah, we're left out of the innovation economy. Can we sneak in?
So they're trying to obviously also get out from under the oppression that they would get arrested if they referred to a transgender man as she, right? And
I
they
said
didn't want
I
to get
didn't
arrested.
mean it. I knew as soon as I said it.
So-
Kapow.
So Mimi Hernandez and Anna Suda are at a convenience store. It turns out that they speak Spanish. They're of Mexican heritage, and sometimes they speak Spanish with each other, and they have an accent. And apparently, an ICE cop, Border Patrol, was in the convenience store and asked them for their papers. And so at one point, Anna Suda turns on her phone camera and starts to talk to the guy as he is basically at his vehicle calling them in. These are two middle-aged women, right? Not probably more typical now of what ICE is going after rather than, gangbangers. But listen to this conversation.
So can you tell us in the video, please, why you ask us for our IDs, please?
Ma'am, the reason I asked you for your ID is because I came in here and I saw that you guys are speaking Spanish, which is very unheard of up here.
Okay.
Just run your name, day of birth.
We have accents. He said.
Just because our profile, right?
No.
Racial profile.
It has nothing to do with that.
No.
It's the fact that it has to do with you guys speaking Spanish in the store,
Spanish in the store.
in the state where it's predominantly English speaking. Okay?
Okay. Sounds good.
Pause it. I mean, can you imagine if they were speaking French? Would they? Do you think they would be? They would be. We're going to run your papers because you're speaking French, or French Canadian, or
This is racial profiling.
Russian.
I think it is possible there might be some ICE agents who might not know the difference. And yes, but no. Not
Yeah, it
if they
depends how
actually
tan they
knew
were.
it was French. No.
Do we have more of that? That's it. Yeah, I mean, they go on, and he calls in. But I like the fact that he's. Can we play it? Do you have more or no? It goes much further than this, no, doesn't it? I can get the raw one. Yeah, get the raw one because it's interesting to see this guy start to realize that he's screwed up. That it's not really appropriate to be profiling people because they're speaking a different language than English.
We have accents. He said.
Just because our profile, right?
No.
Racial profile.
It has nothing to do with that.
No.
It's the fact that it has to do with you guys speaking Spanish in the store,
Spanish in the store.
in the state where it's predominantly English speaking. Okay?
Okay.
Pause
Sounds
it. Now, I think probably most states in this country are predominantly English speaking, aren't they? In fact, I would bet that the vast majority, in fact, I would go as far as saying all the states in this country are predominantly English speaking.
I picture the people you ate with the other night be like, huh, not anymore. Not in 2018.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
How many of
much
those-
more liable to hear Spanish than English in every state that Hillary won.
How many of those states derive their names from the Spanish language word for mountain?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. let's listen to this exchange just a little bit more.
Can we have your name also?
Yes, sir. It is Agent O'Neill.
Yes, sir.
Not a sir.
No,
And we are
his
recording.
English isn't so great either.
Ooh, I want to see some paperwork.
Excuse me. 504 528.
He's running their license now.
Can you meet me at the town pump, please?
Talk about a guy who's just like going around now, nothing better than to do. No wonder why the border's so porous.
10 for
This guy's completely
527.
buffed up,
528.
right? He's got every possible type of like quasi-military gear he can have strapped
So
onto
we
his
just
butt.
come here to the store
This
to buy
lady.
milk and eggs. And this border patrol, he just asks for ID. Because we have an accent and
Just
we
keep
speak
talking, ma'am.
Spanish.
Hmm.
So,
I like how he's like now pretending like he's like looking at his thing, like he's pretending like what can I like he's totally trying to make it seem like what he's doing is, you know, by the book. He's like looking around, like he realizes he's on video, he knows he's screwed.
Now there may be.
I hope they
book
sue the
that
hell
gets
out of
disclosed in Discovery, where we discover that he actually is doing things by a certain book that's not publicly available.
Yeah, the openness
Right?
with which he admitted that was the reason that he stopped them.
This
is
stuff-
like,
I honestly
Yeah.
Kinda blows my mind.
It flows down.
The-
It flows down.
the best case scenario is that they sue and they win so much money that it drains ICE of all its budget. That would be the best case scenario. How
That would be
awesome
so
would that be?
American.